Hello and welcome to another episode of V's Perspective, in which we delve on the SCO summit that happened in Tianjin in China. This was, of course, an important visit in the sense that it came at an inflection point regarding the world order. There was also always the background that states, especially bigger states, are fracturing away. The United States on one side, the Chinese Communist Party led China on the other side. You had a deepening, a gaping divide between the two countries ever since they have entered this competitive dynamic. Although with the coming of second administration of Donald Trump, we've seen some changes, particularly in the sense that the Biden administration really doubled down on the idea that China is a competitive, that it has to enter a competitive duel on, particularly on technology and on sensitive technology vis-a-vis China. Trump comes with a different approach in the sense that he has tried to pander to China with a mix of pandering, mix of threats. It's an interesting sort of approach to Donald Trump, which I particularly think that he doesn't know where it heads, and he's hedging it bets his bets and the United States' bets, using the United States' unique sort of sui generis advantage that in terms of economy, in terms of the strength of economy, in terms of the strength of military, and so on and so forth. So I think that's what's happening in the background. But the SCO summit was critical in the sense that the Trump administration has imposed 50% tariffs on India, 25% from the carrying on from the Liberation Day, and 25 additional percentage of tariffs on related to India's buying of Russian oil as part of the secondary sanctions. Now, remember that there was growing clamor within the U.S. administration in D.C. Regarding how lenient the Biden administration has been towards India, and I think that culminated in his, particularly the trio, which is Howard Lutnick, Scott Bessent, and Peter Navarro, converging their thoughts inside the White House and advising Donald Trump to impose these tariffs. Now, as a result of that, we do have a gaping relationship with the United States today, and that there are reports that Trump tried reaching Prime Minister Modi, and the latter did not respond. In many ways, you know, Trump reaching out consistently or persistently to a certain country and then imposing threats is not a good sign. And I think India responded in the right spirit, in the sense that there is always this danger that Washington, with when led by Donald Trump in his current avatar, will really try to get ahead in the narrative, in the sense they will try to sabotage. He will try to gain the advantage, as he has tried to gain the advantage of narrative in the case of as in the case of U.S. Intervention in India-Pakistan conflict. With that background, you have a group of leaders converging in Beijing. You have the North Korean leader traveling for the first time in 50 odd years, any North Korean leader traveling in any such event. And then you have Vladimir Putin, of course, who's balancing attempts by Trump to mediate in the Russia-Ukraine war, which had led to the Alaska summit. And then you have on the other side the president of China, Xi Jinping. Now, of course, it was a great show. It was followed up by the military parade in Beijing, which was a great show of strength for China. But India's perspective, I think, is important here, in the sense that you have the Indian side balancing between the West and Asia, and rise of group of other countries, where the rise of certain other countries of a different pole cannot be stopped. And I think that India lies somewhere in between, and therefore it has always conveyed to the world that it can be a bridge between the two countries. And therefore, SCO was one such moment. And critically, before the parade, Prime Minister Modi had to leave, and that's also an important signal that he did not, or India did not want to be a part of the military parade of Beijing, and rightly so. So I think it's a critical moment. The SCO represents the divide that BRICS doesn't, and I think there is a certain kind of economic force behind BRICS which SCO lacks, And SCO is, of course, has risks becoming a talking shop because of the division that currently is was betrayed even in the last meetings, even in the last meeting between Pakistan and India. But I think what came out significantly strongly in the most recent SCO summit was, of course, the fact that India and made sure that it signed on the document, on the joint statement, which mentioned, the perpetration of terrorism in Pahalgam, and it was the same paper that was signed on by Pakistan. Now, Pakistan claims, of course, it as a win because their global narrative has been that they too have been at the receiving end of terrorism, how ironical as it may sound. But the idea that Pakistan also ran away with the narrative in the sense that Pakistan was not mentioned in the joint statement, and therefore there was this, it had a loophole for Pakistan to run away with a narrative back home that it signed on a paper that did not sabotage its identity and its stance. But I think coming back to SCO, it's a significant win for China in the sense that it has been able to galvanize a host of countries. It brought together even a NATO country. Turkey was in attendance. So it is becoming a powerhouse of its own. But I think between BRICS and SCO, it will be the global South's two footsteps, one short, one long, in terms of strength. And it'll always be comparative in terms of how India positions itself vis-a-vis the two blocks. But in between all this, I think we've seen a signal from Washington that there is a calming down of its approach. The latest Trump tweets sort of sounds very off-rampish, and therefore, if that is taken as an opportunity in the coming months or so, and the two sides are able to strike a trade deal, then it'll be India's worthwhile. Thank you.